At 2:47 local time, 5 Ukrainian FP2 drones are screaming through occupied Crimea. They are traveling at 120 kilometers per hour toward a Russian fuel train. The train is bound for a depot that it will reach in exactly 87 minutes. The drones have just enough time to cross 160 kilometers of hostile airspace and destroy it. 40 kilometers ahead, a Russian Kasta 2 E2 radar operator is about to make the math much harder. The antenna rotates every 4 seconds, sweeping the northern sector at the speed of light. The operator watches his screen fill with hundreds of contacts. He sees a truck on the M18 highway and a water tower near Armyansk. A flock of birds creates weak returns that flicker and vanish. Then, in the northern sector, he sees a faint return 38 kilometers out. It is moving south at 120 kilometers per hour. He leans forward. At low altitude, radar sees everything: ground clutter, cars, and weather. The software filters most of it out using Doppler shift. This is the same physics that makes an ambulance siren sound higher as it approaches. Stationary objects reflect at the original frequency and disappear from the screen. Moving objects remain. But here is the problem. A drone at 120 kilometers per hour looks exactly like a car on the highway below it. A flock of birds looks almost identical to a small drone dipping in and out of the terrain. When a contact vanishes and reappears, the computer usually guesses it is wildlife. The operator can override this, but only if he has a reason. Right now, he knows there should be no air traffic in this sector. The contact appears again. Same heading, same speed. 36 kilometers. His finger moves toward the alert key. South of his position, the train passes a checkpoint. 82 minutes to the depot. The window is shrinking. The operator's hand hovers over the key. One more clean sweep and he wakes up the entire air defense network. The antenna completes its rotation. The beam washes across the sector. The contact is gone. The drone has dropped into a shallow valley identified from satellite imagery weeks ago. Radar travels in straight lines, but the Earth curves away beneath it. A transmitter 14 meters tall cannot see targets below the radar horizon. The beam passes overhead like sunlight over a shadow. The operator waits. 4th sweep. Nothing. 5th sweep. A blip appears.
Feed on sector 4.
But the track was broken too long. The computer reclassifies it as a bird. He stares at the display. Something felt wrong. The heading was too consistent. Birds do not fly in straight lines at 120 kilometers per hour for 3 consecutive sweeps. But the computer says wildlife, and he has 300 other contacts demanding attention. He exhales and takes his finger off the alert key. 2:53 a.m. 4 more FP2s follow the same path over the next 6 minutes. They tread through the valley that Ukrainian planners mapped specifically for this approach. The Kasta log shows 0 confirmed tracks. $60 million of hardware was defeated by a 4-kilometer depression in the earth. Fuel remaining, 68%. Train distance to depot, 65 kilometers. The drones are through the first layer, but the operators know central Crimea is much harder. Suddenly, the GPS indicator flickers and goes dark. Somewhere below, Russian Pol 21 jammers are pumping 20 watts of noise into the sky. The GPS satellites, 20,000 kilometers overhead, are transmitting at a fraction of a watt. It is a whisper from space against a scream from the ground. Trying to hear them is like trying to hear someone talking at a rock concert. The drones can no longer hear the satellites. Ukraine loses hundreds of drones a month to this. Without GPS, cheap quadcopters wander off course until their batteries drain. But the FP2 was built for this problem. The moment GPS fails, 3 ring laser gyroscopes and 3 accelerometers take over. The gyroscopes measure rotation by racing laser beams around triangular paths. There are no moving parts, just light measuring every turn the aircraft makes. The accelerometers track velocity by measuring how a tiny mass shifts against microscopic springs. The navigation computer fuses this data to update the position based on the last known GPS fix. The math is elegant. But the problem is drift. Small sensor errors accumulate over time. A tiny error in the gyroscope can lead to 36 degrees of phantom rotation over an hour. A tiny bias in the accelerometer adds up to phantom distance. The computer uses a Kalman filter to minimize these errors. But even the best filter cannot eliminate drift entirely. Over a 90-minute flight, uncertainty can grow to 8 kilometers. That is enough to miss a target entirely if flying autonomously. But the FP2 is not autonomous. The operator sees live video from the nose camera. He will steer by eye when it counts. He just needs the instruments to get him close. The expensive jamming network is now playing static to an audience that isn't listening. Fuel remaining, 54%. Train distance to depot, 52 kilometers. Then, the GPS indicator flickers back to life. Signal acquired. The operator frowns. Jamming this deep into Crimea usually runs 24/7. He looks at the coordinates. GPS says the drone is 12 kilometers east of where the camera shows it should be. The roads in the video do not match the map. This is not jamming. This is a GPS spoofer. It broadcasts fake satellite signals to create phantom coordinates. A sophisticated spoofer can even feed fake altitude data to trick the autopilot. It can convince a drone to fly straight into the ground. Against the FP2, it is completely useless. The backup instruments never stopped running. When GPS claims the drone teleported 12 kilometers without movement, the computer knows it is a lie. Physical objects do not teleport. The math does not lie. The operator toggles GPS off. The false coordinates vanish. Back to backup instruments. Honest uncertainty beats confident lies. The train covers another 600 meters towards safety. Fuel remaining, 41%. Train distance to depot, 35 kilometers. The operator pushes the throttle forward, trading fuel for speed. He has 10 minutes to find the train before it reaches the depot's air defense umbrella. He switches to thermal imaging and scans the rail line. In infrared, the steel tracks glow faint and cold. The rails drop below ambient temperature faster than the ground. They appear as dark lines against warmer fields. He follows the tracks north, video scrolling at 30 frames per second. Then, he sees it. A bright white signature moving south. The locomotive engine is blazing against the frozen fields. Behind it, 23 tank cars glow with the residual warmth of the fuel inside. It is 20 kilometers from the depot, rolling at 40 kilometers per hour. The operator has a choice. Wait for the train to stop, or strike now so the burning wreckage blocks the line for days. He chooses now. But a train at this speed moves 330 meters during the final 30 seconds of approach. GPS guidance would miss by hundreds of meters. The FP2 keeps the human in the loop until impact. The video signal travels through a relay drone orbiting at high altitude. The signal bends around the Earth's curve. There's a 200 millisecond delay, so the operator must aim where the target will be. He drops the drone to 20 meters, grass cutting altitude. He is invisible to most radar, matching the train's speed from 400 meters behind. Inside the locomotive, the engineer has no idea. His instruments show a quiet night. Green lights across every panel. The rumble of 4,000 tons of fuel behind him drowns out the world. He expects to hand off the cargo in 4 minutes and grab a coffee. He has no idea those 4 minutes will never arrive. The operator picks his target, the third tank car behind the locomotive. This ensures the impact derails the entire formation.
I need eyes on the main schematic.
Fuel remaining, 19%. Distance, 50 meters. Crosshairs locked. The second FP2 is 800 meters behind the first, lining up on a different car. The fourth and fifth drones have already broken south toward the depot itself. They have been detected. The depot's Pantsir S1 picks them up on thermal at 8 kilometers. The radar filters them out as clutter, so the operator switches to manual tracking. His twin 30mm autocannons can pump out 5,000 rounds per minute. He has 15 seconds to engage before the drones are too low for the guns to track. The Pantsir's turret cannot depress low enough to hit targets hugging the terrain. He opens fire. The shells use programmable airburst fusing to create a sphere of shrapnel. The fourth drone vanishes. One down. The fifth drone drops to 10 meters and jinks hard left. It stays below the gun's depression limit, using the terrain as cover. The gunner tries to reacquire, but the barrels are glowing red. At this rate, steel barrels start losing their temper and the rifling erodes. He must cease fire to let them cool. The fifth drone pushes through the gap. Fuel remaining, 7%. The first FP2 hits the third tank car at 3:57 local time. High explosives punch through the steel. 40,000 liters of diesel ignite. Inside the cab, the engineer is thrown against his console. He reaches for the radio, but the second drone hits before he can key the mic. Another fireball climbs into the night. The third drone strikes the center, turning the rail line into a corridor of fire. 12 kilometers south, the fifth drone is on its final approach to the depot.
Warning.
It targets the fuel storage tanks. Distance, 200 meters. Battery warning flashes red. The motors cut out at 50 meters. The props windmill uselessly. But the drone is still moving at 33 meters per second. It coasts home on physics alone. Impact. The tank detonates. Pumps rupture and pipes shear. Secondary explosions ripple through the depot as fire spreads from tank to tank. The Panzer gunner watches his screen. His barrels are still cooling. $20 million of technology sits useless. A drone that was technically out of power has completed its mission. One drone got through. One was enough. Every fuel shipment for this corridor must now be rerouted. They will go through depots that Ukrainian intelligence is already watching. Bye for now.